Hi, I'm Kathy from Stitch It Together. I'm making this video for Melissa, who's having a problem in the plus tier when she has staggered something. But I don't think the problem really has to do with stagger. You have to make an adjustment in the plus tier if you change the size of something. So let me show you what I'm talking about. First, let me go to the plus tier. I'm going to go to Pantograph and always set your safe area bigger than your quilt top. I'm going to change the total width. Let's just say it's 40. And in the plus tier, you will have your total height is going to be a percentage of your safe area. And so then when you make two rows, it divides it exactly in half to fill your whole space. I'm going to pick any pattern that will stagger. Let's just do this one. And then you would increase your patterns. Let's do that. All right. I kind of like that. I'm going to stagger a row, but staggering really doesn't have anything to do with this. So let me unselect all. I'm going to pick a row. I'm going to stagger it. So it's staggered successfully. But probably what has happened is once you staggered, you didn't like the size and you decided to make it smaller, which is great. You should want to do that. Make it exactly the way that you want. So let me change the fit so I can size it. I'm going to go to size. I'm going to select all. Here we go. And I'm going to make it smaller. Now, first, let me point out that the way that this is set up right now, I wouldn't have any issue. And that is because my pattern completely fills the row. However it came in this particular pattern, it completely filled up my rows. This only happens when you need to size something and make it smaller. So let me just show you what I mean. We'll just go to size, and I'm going to make it smaller. And when I make it smaller, I probably want to make some adjustments. So let me pick this row and I'm going to move it up. And then I'm going to unselect that row and select this one. And then I'm going to move it up. But now you can see my pattern does not completely fill the rows anymore. And that's when you can run into a problem. Let me show you what I mean. If I go to sew this in zones, the first two rows are going to fill out just fine. Let me place the pattern. And let's just sew it out. And again, these are going to sew out, these first two are going to sew out just fine. But when I go to mark my pattern, this row, the placement mark should be about right here and right here, but it's not going to do that. When I go to mark my zone, notice that it wants to go way down here. And that's the reason that you would have a problem because if you place the pattern, the next two patterns right here, you're going to have this big gap and you don't want that. So let me show you how you fix that. So I'm going to say cancel. I'm going to go back to the other screen. And so what I need to do is I need to look at my pattern height, 4.375. I need to then change my total. So I can't change my row height directly. The only way I can change my row height is to change my total height. So what I need to do is multiply this by 2. And I believe that's going to be 8.75. So let's do that. Now it's got it all messed up. Let me just fix it. I can fix it by simply doing that fit. And now you can see this pattern is set to the size that I want, but it completely fills my row. Watch how differently this is going to work when we sew it out. So I'll sew in zones. You place the pattern, sew it. So when I reach the end of the zone, this time when I mark the zone, you're going to see that it's going to go where it's supposed to go, which is about right here. So let me now say, mark your zone. And as you see, now it's not going way down here, it's going to where it should be to get this to sew correctly. So I would say single stitch, next mark, single stitch, And then because of how I placed it, I wouldn't get a second series of rows in there. I'd have to move my fabric. But you see how different that is. And now that your placement marks are correct, you would have the same spacing between your rows. So I hope that that helped you and have a great day.